Do you ever feel like you're kind of stuck in the same place, spinning your wheels like you were 6 months ago with the same patient load, the same income, all the things the same? Well, if that's you, this podcast is definitely for you. We're going to talk about the hidden reasons why we often stall out in practice and why we don't make the progress that we want, even though you're doing all the right things and wearing all the hats and doing all the things. Let's get honest. I'm going to have a real conversation with you about the hard stuff, what it takes to really make the practice go. All right, let's go. Welcome to the Clinical Entrepreneur Podcast. I'm Rhonda, your no fluff, tell it like it is business bestie for wellness practitioners just like you who want to build a practice you love and make a bigger impact and a little money while you're at it. So if you're ready to ditch the overwhelm, attract your dream, ideal patients, and finally run your practice with complete confidence, you're in the right place. Each week, we're tackling things from programs to patient retention to marketing strategies that actually work, sprinkled, of course, with a little sass, a lot of heart, and the step-by-step strategies that will help you get there. So grab your cup of coffee, your notebook, or whatever keeps you going, and let's build a practice you love and a life you love together. Well, hey friends, welcome back to the podcast. We're going to talk about some, the hard part about growing a practice. I'm not always, I think I've been pretty vulnerable, but I'm not always as vulnerable as I probably could be about my own, challenges and struggles and what happens. And I think what I really wanted to do was kind of just share my heart today about really what it is when you're growing a practice. I'm in the same trenches that you are. The application for me might be a little bit different because I have the med spa and then I've got, my coaching practice, right? What I do with Clinical Business Academy and I work with practitioners, but I also have a private practice too. And I have a brick and mortar and I have a virtual. I get it. I know. And let me tell you, I think lately it's just been a little bit more challenging for a variety of reasons. Sometimes if I talk about where the struggle is, and I know this is really stupid, I know, but if I talk about where the struggle is, then you're going to think that I don't know what I'm doing. I mean, really, like we're all kind of like that. It's probably the imposter syndrome that shows up and you think, well, I got to act like I know it all and I know a lot, but it's kind of just rough sometimes. And so much, I think, of what we deal with as providers is the head game, and what we're told and what we believe to be true. What I think we've been told or not told and what we believe to be true, a lot of times is misinformation. It's not even accurate. So I think my goal today is just to kind of bust it open and just have a really honest conversation with you about beliefs and self-awareness and how to really I don't want to say fall in love with your practice again, but how to be in a place where you just feel aligned and it's okay that where you are is okay. That's what I really want for you today. So first, I think let's talk about the part that nobody talks about, and that is that it's just hard. And I do the same thing that you do. I buy the frameworks and I go to the seminars and I listen to business podcasts and I listen to clinical podcasts and I read and I'm on PubMed and I nerd out like the rest of y'all do. And I love it. I love it. But I also find that sometimes I like to say I become like out of balance because I get clinically obese. I get so much clinical information that then I become unhealthy. I'm not healthy because I don't have a way to do what I've learned. I'm just putting all the food in my mouth, but I'm not expending any of the energy. I'm not exercising. I just think maybe not on the clinical side so much now, but like when I was building years ago, 20 years ago, I remember thinking, I just have to know more. I just have to know more. If I just know more, it'll be better. It'll just be better. But really what that was doing was feeding my ego. And it was also my Snoopy blanket, where I just felt more secure if I knew stuff. But what happens was I think we just get obese. We get too much clinical information. Nowadays, I tend to go nerd out a lot more on the business and the marketing and all that because I see that it's, kind of a big problem. It's an issue. And I get the same thing. I just get kind of clinically obese, for lack of a better. I don't know what else to call it. I don't mean to offend anyone. It just is what it is. So Taking action means that we learn something and then we do it. And then we learn the thing and then we do it. But what we've been taught, even in like higher education, right? We go, we learn, and you cram all this information into your mind. And then we take a test, we pass the test, and we're like, whew, okay, on to the next thing. Running a business isn't like that. It's just not like that. You can't, and being a clinician, it's not like that. You can't just acquire all this knowledge and then all of a sudden transform into the butterfly from the caterpillar. It just doesn't work that way. It's not that you're broken or you're doing anything wrong or that I'm doing anything wrong. It's that we can't assimilate and then expel. We can't incorporate and then give, provide, or do the thing when the information is coming from too many different directions. I feel like maybe I'm rambling. Does this make sense to you? Are you guys tracking with me? So here are some of the common myths, I think, that we often believe, or that I either believe or have believed or still struggle with. One is that if, as I said, kind of if I just know more, if I just know more, if I just know more about business, if I just know more about marketing, if I just know more about, the HP axis, or if I just know more about dysbiosis, or if I just know more about SIBO, then it'll be fine. But that doesn't really solve anything because I could know all the things. And if I don't have people and I don't have a business that works and I don't have my mindset right, then that's not going to solve any problems. And then sometimes I think we think, well, if I just had the right marketing strategy, I think that's the biggest lie. I do think that because you have more than enough people in your town that need you. And all you got to do is just go find them and talk to them. We think, oh, I got a market for in a 10-mile radius. We misplace or misdirect our own insecurity about what we're doing, either clinically or in business, by going and chasing something else and thinking, well, it's that other thing that's going to make me feel better. And it's not true because at the end of the day, it's about what you believe about yourself. What do you believe about yourself? Do you believe that you deserve to have a practice that works? Or do you believe that, oh man, my chest is a little tight here. So I know that I'm getting close to the heart of like where my heart is. And this is hard. It's hard for me because I think it's true. And sometimes I just don't want to admit it, When you've been told or you believe that what someone said about you and about your business, like, for instance, yeah, this is just your hobby. You're never going to be successful. Or, well, how can you help people and charge that much money? That doesn't seem right. Or whatever the belief is. Maybe you feel like you don't deserve it. Maybe you believe that it's a badge of honor to be poor in serving people, the Mother Teresa thing. Listen, Mother Teresa chose to live that way. And that's okay if you choose to live that way. She didn't have to. She actually died quite wealthy. But we don't have to do that. It's okay to get paid for what you do, but we're taught. It's like this. I think of all of the professions, I think healthcare, especially us, here's the thing. I think we get relegated to the back row in our own mind. We get put in the back of the church. We're at the back row. We don't have access to anybody. We can't even make it to the front. We're in the back row because we're just serving people and it's out of pocket. We want to help them and we don't want to charge and blah, 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 blah. That is a bunch of baloney. But I believed it for a lot of years. I gave stuff away. I would, go out of my way on the weekends. I did all of that stuff because I needed to feel like I was being valuable. I was serving my own ego and not honoring the patient, not honoring the person. Think of it this way. If you had a teenager and the teenager's acting out, lying, drinking, whatever, like, 17-year-olds that want to be out of the house, boys, I'm going to pick on boys. And this is because I have a grandson who's doing it right now. And so he's just so sure that he knows all the things. He's acquired all this knowledge. And so he's now acting out. And his mom sets my daughter, she sets a very clear boundary. This is how it's going to be. This is how it is. If you're going to live in this home, then this is how it is. Same with your business. If you're going to do business with me, this is how it is. But it takes so much courage to do that. Courage. I mean, epic courage. Because now what happens when the teenage son comes home and he's high? True story. And he's high. Now what? Mom's all good with all her, all the bark, bark, bark. Like, hey, no, we aren't doing this. But what happens when mom decides to enforce? Is that a hard decision or an easy decision? Of course it's hard. It's so hard. And mom just has to say, well, listen, this wasn't our agreement. So I'm thinking that maybe maybe it's time for you to go out on your own. Maybe it's time for you to go find another provider, because these are the rules of the house. I don't think very many of us grew up or we were taught that that's okay. Because we were taught that we have to be poor. We believed it. Maybe not taught. Maybe we just believed it. Maybe we just believed that we're supposed to be poor. I don't know. But somewhere along the line, our mindset has gotten, our beliefs are all twisted up. And mine get twisted up less than they used to, but they still do. And it might even be like, well, when I have time, I'll write those emails and I'll send them out. Or when I have time, I'll look at my fee structure. When I have time, I'll create those resources. Look, if you don't have time now, you're not going to have time later. We have to decide what's going to be the priority. And listen, if you're happy in your practice, and you're not serving your ego, and you're showing up, and your fees are great. I mean, you're really getting paid. You're taking home a paycheck that you're proud of for the amount of time that you're working. Listen, I am not here to tell you that's wrong. I'm going to say go do more of that. But that's not my experience with most. I mean, I work with hundreds of practitioners, and that's not my experience. Very few actually take out of the business a wage or a draw or a salary that's equivalent to the value that they provide. Very few, like 1%. When I say very, I mean very. And the growth part is the hard part. It's hard to admit it. And then the next hard part is, what do I do about this? Because we think, well, I don't want to fail, or it feels scary, or I don't know what I'm doing. And those things are all true. But at some point, I have to rewire the way that I think about this. And when I rewire my mind about thinking, like, for instance, what I started with, when I think, oh, well, I can't be vulnerable about what's going on and where I'm struggling in my business, I can't be vulnerable about that because I don't want the doctors to think that I don't know what I'm doing. Look, I'm just being honest. And that's hard, because I'm being vulnerable. I don't want you to think less of me, because I do know what I'm talking about. Like, I am good at this, but nobody ever said that it was a yellow brick road all the way to Oz. Nobody said it was going to be easy. Dorothy hits quite a few snags along the way. Like, the witch is trying to poison her. Now, I'm not getting poisoned and you're not getting poisoned, but there's stuff that comes along that's not fun. The monkeys came along. There's all kinds of perils that come along the road, even though she's on the road that's going to get her there. And I think that that's what we tend to downplay those things, because we're serving our own ego. And we're thinking, oh, well, I don't want to let anybody know that I'm not doing great or that things aren't doing good. It's like looking rich on the outside, but being like poor, broken, and bankrupt on the inside. And I think sometimes our mindsets keep us there. So how do we turn this around? Well, I think one of the ways is decide, what are the rules in your house? Maybe not your house, fine, but I'm talking about your business. What are the rules? What are the rules that you want to play by? What are your non-negotiables? And then ask yourself, am I worth this? Do I deserve this? Do I deserve this? And if the answer is no, friend, you got some mindset work you got to do. Like, you got to fix that. Because if you don't inherently, in your bones, in the deepest part of you, if you don't believe that what you do is transforming people's lives, and you deserve to get paid for that, and that you deserve to have it your way. In other words, I'm not going to have a patient that's going to come in here and show up 30 minutes late to an appointment, and I go, oh, well, yeah, I'll just move everybody else around. No. Not going to happen. But I used to, until I found my own worth. I said, you know what? My time is worth something, and I need you to respect that time. And so when we have an appointment at this time, you don't get to show up 30 minutes late. And then I'm not going to, that's like not fair. Then you're saying your time is more important than my time, and it's my business. No. That's not how it works. But let me tell you, that takes courage. It takes a lot of courage. It takes courage, a lot of courage, to charge what you're worth. Now, we all think that we're worth more. I mean, I'd love to bill myself out for $2,000 an hour. In my mind, I think that's what I'm worth. But nobody's going to pay that, and I would never do that. So, we have grandiose thoughts, but that doesn't mean that they're reality. But it takes courage to charge what you're worth. It takes courage to say, I can't do this by myself. that's another really hard one. I can't do this by myself. I read something not long ago that said, asking for help is not a sign of failure. It's a sign that I'm not willing to give up. And I really love that. I've not stopped thinking about that. Asking for help doesn't mean that I've failed. It means that I'm unwilling to give up. I have such a vision. I have so much I want to do and so many people that I want to impact. And that includes you and my patients and the clients and patients that I have at the medical spa. I have so much to do that when I take it all on and I say, well, this is just all me. I have to do it all. I have to be, I have to this, I have to. Who's that about? It's about me. You make it about you just as much as I do because we are self-centered, egotistical humans. The hard part of us living this human life is letting that part go and just knowing deep inside who we are, what we want, and why we deserve it. Because once you know that, there's no stopping you. Lack should not be part of your conversation ever with yourself. And I hear all the time, I hear it in my own head, and I know that I know you because I am you. I get it. I hear in my head sometimes, well, no one can do it as good as me, or there's somebody else who's better than me, better at this than I am. Well, yeah, there is. There are people who lead billion-dollar corporations, sit in that C-suite as the CEO, and they're a lot better at it than I ever would be. So why would I compare myself to them? I don't want to do that. And I have never been trained to do that. I've never worked in corporate America. I don't know what that's all about. I don't know. So I can't compare myself. So that's because I do it my way. It's just like you do it your way. And sometimes we let our ego so get involved that we compare and then we shame. So then we shame ourselves. Well, I should know better. And, I'm still doing all the things in my business, or I'm still the one that's returning all of the messages in practice better, or I'm still the one that's creating all that. I'm still checking out. Well, I'm still doing all the, I have to do it all. It's all on me. Asking for help doesn't mean you give up. Asking for help means that you're unwilling to give up. When you ask, it doesn't mean that you're a failure. It just means that you have a bigger, higher purpose and you're like, I'm not going to stop until I get it. And I need somebody to help me get there. That, my friend, is courage. And that is laying that ego aside and saying, I'm not willing to let my ego get in the way of fulfilling the thing that I know I want to do. But you also have to believe that it's possible. You have to believe in yourself. People who undercharge, I've seen it over and over and over. The people who undercharge are the ones who have the lowest opinion of themselves. And if you're listening and you're undercharging, I love you so much, but you got to tell the truth about that. You don't feel you're worth it, and that's why you're not willing to raise your prices. You're not willing to charge what's fair and reasonable for what you do. So you don't hire because you think, oh, well, no one can do it as good as me. Well, you're right. You're probably right. I can't do it like the CEO, and so I'm not there. But maybe someone could teach me if I wanted to learn. I mean, maybe I could learn big corporate business. Maybe that's a possibility, but I don't want to. We stop ourselves from making progress because of what we believe in our mind about what we do. So I want to land the plane. I don't want to keep going on because I'll make you all cry or something. You have an emotional breakdown. I listened to Rhonda's podcast. It wrecked me. When I decided, after my daughter got sick, and I decided I wanted to go back to school and I wanted to learn this thing at the time that was called alternative medicine. There were members of my family and extended family that would repeatedly say to me, you'll never make anything of this. No one wants this. What are you doing? This is just your hobby. You're just going to get paid a little bit for your hobby and then you're going to give up and you're going to get, you'll be disillusioned with it after a while. Then you'll go on and do something else because that's what you always do. And it was hurtful. It was really hurtful. And I remember one time we were at our mountain cabin, and I was standing out in the middle of the kind of the dirt grass area out in front of this cabin. And there's trees all around and there's river across the street. And it's beautiful, really beautiful, very peaceful. And I remember my brother-in-law sitting on a chair and I was standing up. And I remember him looking at me and saying, when are you just going to give this hobby up? You'll never amount to anything with this. When are you just going to give it up? And I was crushed by his words. But at the same time, and I'm so thankful for this, but part of my personality is like, do not tell me what to do. That's a bad idea. But there was something in me that just I don't know, I'll say snapped. I didn't go crazy, not like the TV show Snapped, but something in me just, I don't know. The best way I can describe it is it's just snapped. And the snap was, you watch, you watch. And at that moment, I could have listened to what he said. I could have believed what he believed about me, but I didn't. And I don't know why. If I could osmosis give this to you so that you could have your snap moment, I would. But at that moment, I just was like, it was kind of a big F you. You watch what I'm going to do. And that was bad. I was just starting out. I mean, maybe had 3 people, I'm like just barely starting out. And it was hard. It was hard. But I said, I'm not going to give up. I'm not going to give up. I'm just not. So I think the way that we have to start is we have to start by just being radically honest. Where are you because of what you're thinking about? Where are you playing small? And you might say, hey, listen, I've got a big thriving practice. Okay, great. I love that for you. But I also know that inside a big practice, you can still hide and play small. You can still play small and hold yourself back. And then the second thing I would say is, what are the lies that you tell yourself that aren't absolutely 100% true? It's like when my brother-in-law said to me, you're never going to make anything out of yourself with this. You're never going to make this fly. How could he know that that's 100% true? He said it like it was 100% true, right? He said it as an affirmation, so to speak, but he didn't know that was 100% true. He didn't have a crystal ball. He can't see into the future. And my little receptors could have taken that on and said, it is true. I'm never going to be good enough. I heard that message also for 30 plus years that I was never good enough. I was never good enough at anything. Everything I started was just a halfway to something or other, and I was never good enough. But how many times do you try something and maybe it doesn't work? And so you get back up and you try a different thing. We've all had that. That's just called life. Were you all perfect at raising your kids? No. We all screwed them up. I used to tell my kids when they were little, look, I know I'm going to screw you up. It's not intentional though. And I'll pay for your counseling when you get big. I'm sorry. I'm going to apologize right now. It isn't because I woke up and intentionally tried to do it. It just happens, just what happens. So what lies am I believing? What are you believing? What do you tell yourself that you say it's absolutely true? I would challenge you to say, how can I know that this belief I have is actually 100% true? Is it true that if I raise my prices, everyone's going to leave? Is that really true? How can you know for sure it's true or not? Because probably not really true. So maybe are you believing something that isn't true about yourself? You're feeding your ego with a lie that's not even real. And then think about, what is your dialogue? What do you talk to yourself about? What do you say about your business? What do you say about what you're offering to patients? What do you say? I'm never going to get this right. I'm never going to get this protocol right. I don't know what I'm doing. I just don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm doing. Stop it. Just stop. Stop. Change that. Reframe that. Turn that around, because you're never going to get anything else if you don't start saying what you want. So if you turned it around, you could say something like, in my wildest dreams, if time and money and resources were no problem, what would my business look like? Think about that. What would it look like? How many people would you have? How many days a week would you be working? How much money would you make? What would it look like? And the next question is, what would you stop doing? That's such a good question. What would you stop doing that you're doing now that isn't fulfilling you? Maybe it's because someone told you you had to do it. You have to learn more seminars. You have to go to more seminars. You have to do something. You have to. Maybe you don't want to. Maybe that's not where you're at. What would you stop doing if you had whatever you wanted? And then what would you believe about yourself? What would you believe could be true? And you could really believe it to be true. That's how vulnerability gets laid out on the table, but then that's where the change and the magic happens. Because now I'm not hiding. I'm not playing small. I'm not shrinking back thinking, oh, well, I don't know enough. And, I'm not good enough. And, well, I'm going to lose all these people. I'm never going to be a success over here, because of the way that I think about myself. So I would really encourage you to take one action this week. What's one thing that you can do? Maybe just raise your new patient price. No one knows except the new patient. Just do that. Just raise it. Even if you just courageously raised it by $50, just raise it. Do something that will get you unstuck and unlocked and get you moving. And then maybe it's asking a patient to share their experience with you, AKA testimonial, AKA review. Maybe you just ask someone, hey, listen, it would mean a lot to me. Would you be willing to share about how it's been to work with me and what you've seen in what your experience has been with your health, that sometimes takes courage, doesn't it? It does. It's hard to ask. And maybe make a follow-up call to someone you haven't seen in a while. Not because you're asking or begging, but just because you care, because you want to make it about them and not you. We spend so much time thinking about ourselves, thinking about how we're making ourselves small, not believing in who we are. But then when things get rough and they start, getting bouncy, which is what's happening for me, like I got all kinds of things happening all over the place and I'm not happy about it. And it's so easy for me in my mind to say, well, it's because you're never going to be good at this. You're never going to be good. My story is, I think, see, you don't know how to run a business. You're teaching all these people how to do it, but you don't know how to do it. Look at this mess over here that somebody made. Look at you. You don't even know how to do it. But I do. I know I do. And I have to come back to, what do I believe about myself and what's true about me? I'm really good at business. I'm really good at marketing. I'm really good at it. And I love helping practitioners. I love it. It makes me so happy. But I have a fork in the road and I can choose. What message am I going to listen to? The one out here that says you're never good enough and you're a failure and you're not going to make it? Or the one over here that says, I know I'm in the messy middle, but I'm going to be okay because this is what I know is true about me. So thank you for letting me be just honest and vulnerable. And I hope this was insightful for you, that you can maybe stop and do some reflection about where you're at in your business, in your practice. What are the things that you believe to be true? What do you want to be different and how you want that to look different? And if I can be of help to you in any way, I'm here. That's why I do this podcast every week. It's why I have both Clinical Academy for the clinical stuff and Clinical Business Academy for business. That's why I do both. You know where to find them. If you've listened long enough, you know where to go. You can go to my website, RondaNelson.com, and go find either one of them. If I can be part of helping you break out of that, I'm all in. I'm 100% in. I am your soul BFF. And if you want to work it through on your own, you can do that too. But there's a world out there that are broken and they need us. And so we need to get our minds right so that then we can start to serve the people that we're blessed to be able to serve. So there, I landed the plane. Thanks for listening. Love you all so much. See you next week.